Hi, I'm Mary Lyons, the Wealth Woman. Welcome back to New School Millionaire. I am super excited because a lot of the conversations that we've had up until this point have been about mindset or specific concepts or the ideas of how some of this stuff works. And today we're going to do something that's a little bit more concrete. What I want you to actually hear is an example from a client so that you can see yourself in this and begin to say, okay, all this sounds great conceptually. What does it actually mean for me and for my family, right? For you and for your family. So what we're going to do is just describe kind of a general demographic, and then I'm going to show you some real world results of what's possible. So just for the demographic, we're going to say this is someone who is earning $100,000 a year and they're 45 years old. So for this example, I'm actually going to do a single person. We're going to call her Natalie New School. There you go, Natalie New School, if I can even get that out of my mouth. So she's 45 years old. She's making $100,000 a year. She has $120,000 sitting in her 401k account, and she has $15,000 sitting in a Roth IRA. Above and beyond that, she's got $10,000 that's sitting in a money market account, earning at about 4%. And what I'll tell you about this and how we're going to do our projections is we're going to use a rate of return of 7.13%. Now, this is a very deliberate number that I am using in this example because it reflects the experience that most investors are having. So you may be pushing back on that in this moment, going, well, I can get a better rate of return, or even historic averages or higher than that. So I'm going to tell you for a minute where I got that information so that you understand that I'm not just making things up. We've actually done a fair amount of research as we're going into doing these projections. There is a group called Dalbar, and Dalbar does a study every year. And what they're measuring is the returns that a particular index might have versus the average investor experience, meaning that the average investor is actually not getting the full returns that you see in the market. And there are any number of reasons for that. One of those reasons could be that an investor sees that the market's going up and puts money in at the top of the market, only to see the market reverse its trend and go downward. So they bought high, write it down, feel sick to their stomach, pull the money out of the market because they're freaked out and they don't want to lose anymore, only to see the market bounce and begin to recover. There are emotional decisions that we make, right? Or intuitive decisions we make that are sometimes not based on the facts. They could be a reaction to what is happening in the market, and they might not even be strategic reactions to what's happening in the market. So that's one reason that Dalbar has cited that investors typically underperform the market. The other could actually have to do with advisor fees or hiring advisors that are not driving returns. So money managers that maybe are performing at subpar rates. So if you look at kind of the full market experience in the S&P 500, the average has been a little over 10%. But if you look at the same time periods and you look at the Dalbar study, what the Dalbar study shows us is that the average investor experience is 7.13. So that's the number I used when we did these projections. We are just going to use thoroughly average investor experience. When I'm doing plan builds in our office, sometimes I use returns that are as low as 6% because I would always rather be conservative. I think it was Biggie who wrote the song, Mo Money, Mo Problems. And I can tell you in the world of financial services, it's exactly the opposite. If you get to retirement and you have less money, that's when you have more problems. So we always want to be kind of conservative when we're doing any type of projections into the future. So let's go ahead and get a little further into this. So Natalie New School is 45 years old, and she is currently thinking she wants to retire at age 65. And she is a very diligent saver. She knows that she's got to put money away for her future. So she is putting $20,000 a year into her 401k. Now, remember, I said her income was $100,000. So she is a very prudent, very hardworking individual, and she is putting that much money away. And the way her 401k works, she is actually receiving a 50 cents on the dollar match up to 6%. So if she puts in $6,000, she gets $3,000 in money from her employer. If she's putting in $20,000, she's still only getting $3,000 from her employer. So that's what she's doing. And then she is also putting $3,000 a year into her Roth IRA. And that's it. That's what she is doing moving forward into retirement. She plans to retire again at age 65. So just kind of a traditional type of strategy here. So what I want to do is show you a couple of different results from one of the software programs that we use. So I'm going to share my screen. And now what you can see on my screen here is the projections that she is expecting. So I'm going to walk you through this here for just a second. If she does things the conventional way, which is what I just described, she's putting a bunch of money into her 401k, she's putting some money into a Roth account, she's taking advantage of her match, and that's really all she's doing. At age 65, she falls into this bucket here, this little orange colored bucket, where you see retirement assets only with future contributions, which means that not only are we growing her existing account, but we're adding contributions to that account from age 45 until age 65. If she does exactly what I described to you and gets the 7.13 rate of return throughout her savings years, when she gets to retirement, she is stuck at a 3% distribution rate if she wants a better than 90% chance that that income will last for the entire duration of her lifespan. And I'm not talking about, okay, I've retired at 65, I just need to make it to 80 or 85. We have to be able to rely on that income being there for the entirety of our lifetime. And so if I'm looking at a 30 to 35 year time period to take us from 65 to age 95 or age 100, because that is definitely a possibility for us, then we are stuck taking very, very low distributions if we want a high probability that that money is there in its full integrity, producing income for us whenever we are in need of it. So if you look at that distribution, she is able to take almost $54,000 of income per year, but that is not going to replace the lifestyle that she is used to living. So I want to talk about the income easy button here for a second, because that is a strategy that we teach. I want to be very clear that we are saving exactly the same amount of money when we're looking at this blue strategy and this green strategy. Now, the blue and the green strategies are actually funded exactly the same way, and I don't have to decide if I like the blue option or the green option in the future. And I think that's really important because we have no idea what the world is going to look like 20 years from now, let alone 2 years from now sometimes. So we need choices for how we're able to spend our money. But both of these are actually going to be funded the same way while we're in savings mode. So if we save exactly the same money, but we change where we're putting it so that we can be more creative with how we distribute and spend the assets when we get to retirement, I'm going to give you two kind of broad examples of how you can hit the income easy button. Option one, when you get to retirement, if you follow the kind of strategy that we put forth and what we teach here at New School Millionaire, is that you can create a simulated pension. So something that feels very, very similar to a pension, which means you get the same paycheck every single month of your life, guaranteed no matter how long you live. Now, there are tools that have been around for hundreds of years that actually enable us to do this. And if you look at how those tools are functioning today, saving exactly the same amount of money, actually decreasing the risk profile, but making the assumption that your investments get the same 7.13 rate of return, you're not saving any more money, you're not working any harder, and you're definitely not taking any more risk. If we pursue that simulated pension option, instead of being stuck at $54,000 of income per year, our income jumps to $75,000 a year of income. And we're able, once we trigger that income, if you're thinking about it in terms of today's interest rate environment, you can make sure that that $71,000, a part of that whole 75 whole, is guaranteed no matter how long you live, with the ability to make sure that if you are married, that income continues for your spouse's lifetime as well. So huge jump there, guys, to go from $54,000 to $75,000 of income per year. That's an extra $21,000 a year. That's pretty darn close to a 50% improvement. Not quite, but we're almost there. So option 2 is what we call the volatility buffer. And what you're going to hear me say on a regular basis is a market shock absorber. Y'all, we know that the market goes up, but we also know that what goes up must at some point come down before hopefully it goes back up again. In the years that the market goes down, that means your portfolio is taking a real loss. In addition to taking that loss, if you are now in the retirement phase and you are withdrawing income to live off of, you are compounding that loss. And as the market starts to recover, if you continue taking money for income, you are preventing a full recovery in your account. So you can see even conceptually how over time, if you continue to do that, you can deplete the portfolio and maybe injure it to the point where it doesn't actually recover. So what we're building with part of this easy button income strategy is the ability to have a shock absorber in place so that when, not if, but when the market goes down during your retirement, you can stop pulling from your investment portfolio because you have an alternate bucket of money that has guarantees attached to it, and you can take income from that account while your portfolio has a completely uninhibited and uninterrupted recovery. Once it has fully recovered, you go right back to withdrawing from that account. When you do that, instead of safely withdrawing 3% every year, if everything is structured accordingly, you can safely spend 7% out of that same portfolio with the same allocation every single year if we've done this the right way. So same amount of money, but if you do that, you can now take $66,000 of income per year into retirement with the same likelihood of success, roughly, as that $54,000 in the retirement assets only strategy. Sorry. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking, why would I ever take $66,000 of income when I could take 75? Let me help you out with that. Here's why you would actually do that. Oop, hold on. Here's why you would actually settle for $66,000 of income instead of $75,000. The $75,000 of income makes the assumption that you take the same income every single year. No matter what happens in the marketplace, no matter what happens to interest rate environments, that is your paycheck every single year. You are never going to get a raise. So that sounds really good because it's locked in forever. You've got guarantees around it. But if you could start out at $66,000, and let's say the market has a great sequence of returns, you have retired at just the right time for a major market run up. In that situation, you can actually give yourself a raise every single year. So you get to decide between I want guaranteed income or I want the potential for upside, and I'm willing to hedge my bets rather than taking guarantees. And what I'll tell you is it does not have to be an either or choice. One of the things you're going to hear me say over and over again in all of the New School Millionaire curriculum is that you should always look for the and. We don't like either or choices. We like the and choices. I like to have my cake and eat it too. You can choose to make sure some of your income is guaranteed and some of your income has the potential for upside. So you don't have to decide which of those you like right now. You could do one, the other, or some combination of the two. But what I love about this particular strategy is that this individual did not have to work any harder, did not have to save any more money, and certainly does not have to take any more risk. All they chose to do was learn about the Income Easy button, implement it, and already they have substantial improvement in the amount of income that they're able to spend for the duration of their retirement lifetime. Thank you guys for joining us today.